The rumor started with a single clip, 12 seconds long, grainy, and without sound. It appeared online late one night, posted anonymously to a fan forum before spreading like wildfire across social media. The footage seemed to show Sam Heughan and Caitriona Balfe in what looked like an Outlander scene, but one no one had ever seen before. At first, fans assumed it was part of a deleted sequence from a past season, something cut for pacing or continuity. But as people rewatched it, analyzing every frame, something became clear. This wasn't just acting. There was something real in their faces, something raw and unguarded. In the clip, Sam, as Jamie Fraser, stood in the doorway of a dimly lit cabin. Caitriona, as Claire, faced him silently. The scene was simple. No dialogue. Just the two of them staring at each other as though words had failed them completely. And then, as the camera closed in, Caitriona's eyes shimmered, and Sam reached out as if to speak. But the footage cut to black before he could. 12 seconds. That was all it took to set the internet on fire. Within hours, hashtags like #VanishedScene, #HiddenTruth, and #Sam and Cait were trending worldwide. Fans demanded answers. What was this moment? Why wasn't it included in the show? And most importantly, why did it feel so real? According to a production insider who later spoke anonymously, the scene had indeed been filmed during one of the most emotional episodes of Outlander's 6th season. It had been part of a farewell sequence between Jamie and Claire, but something about it made the post-production team uneasy. It wasn't scripted that way, the insider said. What happened between them in that take wasn't acting. It was personal. Another crew member added, when the director called, "Cut," no one moved. The air felt heavy. They didn't even look at each other for a moment, like they just lived something too real. That was the last time the scene was mentioned on set. By the time the episode aired, it had disappeared completely. No alternate cut, no deleted footage on the Blu-ray release, not even a mention in interviews. It was as if it had never existed. But those who had been there couldn't forget it. One of the assistant editors later described reviewing the footage. It was stunning, but uncomfortable. Their emotions didn't feel like performance, they felt like confession. That single comment was enough to send fandom into overdrive. Entire YouTube channels appeared overnight, dissecting body language and comparing it to other episodes. Look at how he touches her shoulder here, it's different, one creator explained in a viral breakdown. And she looks at him like she's saying goodbye, not Claire saying goodbye to Jamie, but Caitriona saying goodbye to Sam. It didn't help that shortly after filming that season, fans began noticing subtle changes in their dynamic. The two co-stars, once inseparable in interviews and public appearances, now seemed more reserved. The laughter was still there, but quieter. The playful touches and inside jokes that had fueled years of romance rumors had all but vanished. The vibe shifted, said one longtime crew member. No fights, no drama, just distance. Like something unspoken had happened. For the show's most devoted followers, it only deepened the mystery. Some believed the scene was cut because it revealed too much truth, that maybe, for one fleeting moment, Sam and Caitriona had stopped being characters and simply been themselves. Others thought the studio wanted to avoid feeding the rumors of an off-screen romance. Either way, one fact remained: the footage existed. As fans scrambled for more information, a few screenshots from the leaked clip began circulating. A close-up of Caitriona's tearful gaze, Sam's trembling hand just inches from her face. The emotion was undeniable, almost uncomfortable in its intensity. One fan tweeted, "That's not acting. That's heartbreak." The network declined to comment, issuing a brief statement that read, "Outlander scenes are often edited for time or narrative reasons. Any unofficial footage should not be considered part of the final production." But the statement only fanned the flames. Behind the scenes, rumors swirled that both Sam and Caitriona had privately requested the scene be removed. They never said why, said the same insider. But you could tell it meant something to them, maybe too much. That night, someone posted a quote from one of Sam's old interviews: "The hardest scenes are the ones where you stop acting without realizing it." Fans resurfaced it, attaching screenshots of the leaked clip beneath it. It was the perfect storm, art and emotion, fiction and truth blurring into one. By the end of the week, even entertainment media had joined the speculation, publishing headlines like, "The deleted scene that broke the internet," and "Did Sam and Caitriona's real emotions end up on screen?" Neither of them spoke about it. Caitriona continued her press tour, smiling gracefully, deflecting questions. Sam, ever the gentleman, thanked fans for their passion but refused to discuss the leak. Still, those who had seen the footage couldn't shake the feeling that something had happened that day. Something that went beyond acting, beyond storylines. And as one producer quietly put it, it wasn't just a deleted scene. It was the truth they couldn't keep in the show. The clip was eventually taken down from most platforms, but not before millions had seen it, analyzed it, and felt the ache behind it. Whatever it was, that moment, 12 seconds of unfiltered emotion, left a scar across the fandom. Because sometimes, what gets erased from the screen tells the story the script never could. By the time the network managed to scrub most traces of the clip from the internet, it was too late. The scene had already become legend, the vanished moment, as fans called it. But for those who had watched it, something about it lingered. It wasn't just curiosity, it was emotion. You could feel that what Sam Heughan and Caitriona Balfe had shared in those few seconds was too intimate, too fragile, to belong to anyone else. The following weeks were filled with chaos. Fan accounts flooded social media with theories. Some insisted the moment was real proof of an off-screen romance. Others claimed it marked their silent goodbye. Journalists begged for statements, but both stars remained silent. The mystery only deepened when Sam cancelled a scheduled interview without explanation. Then, during an appearance on a late-night talk show, Caitriona was asked about the leak. The host smiled innocently. "Everyone's talking about that missing Outlander scene. Care to clear the air?" Caitriona paused, her hands folded in her lap. For a heartbeat, the studio lights caught something flicker across her expression. A memory, maybe, or regret. She smiled politely and said, "There are scenes you film that belong to the characters, and some that don't. Sometimes, those are the hardest ones to let go of." It wasn't a confirmation, but it wasn't denial either. The crowd laughed softly, but those watching closely knew what she meant. Behind the scenes, members of the crew began to open up, quietly, carefully. One lighting technician described that day in vivid detail. "The air on set was electric," he said. "You could feel something happening between them. It wasn't in the script. It wasn't planned. It was like they forgot the cameras were there." The director, according to another insider, had whispered after the take, "That was too much." He walked off set, visibly shaken, before calling a brief break. "It felt intrusive," one crew member remembered. "We were witnessing something that wasn't ours to capture." Later, when post-production began, the editor reportedly flagged the footage as sensitive. It was marked for review by the showrunner, who decided to remove it entirely. It wasn't about censorship, the insider claimed. It was about respect. Respect for what, exactly? No one could say for sure. But the silence from Sam and Caitriona spoke volumes. During a fan convention months later, someone dared to bring up the vanished scene. Sam smiled gently, avoiding direct eye contact. "Ah, the famous mystery," he said. "You know, acting is strange. Sometimes you step into a moment so deep, it stops feeling like make-believe. But not everything needs to be seen to be understood." The room fell silent. It wasn't the cheeky deflection fans expected. It was something softer, almost mournful. After that, the topic vanished as quickly as the scene itself. The studio never commented again, and future Outlander releases were scrubbed clean of any reference. Still, the legend persisted, whispered about in forums, analyzed in fan edits, immortalized in slow-motion GIFs and poetic fan posts. What people didn't know was that the day after the leak, Sam had called Caitriona. It was early morning, and neither of them had slept much. She answered quietly, "I've seen it." He sighed, "So have I." There was a long silence before he said, "It wasn't supposed to be anyone else's." "I know," she whispered. Neither blamed the other. They both understood that what had happened in that moment was something words couldn't explain. An overlap between fiction and truth, between Jamie and Claire, Sam and Caitriona. It was the line they had both walked for nearly a decade, and for the first time, they'd crossed it without meaning to. After that call, they never spoke of it again. When the next season began filming, things were different. They were kind, professional, but careful. Every scene was perfectly crafted, every touch measured. Fans noticed it instantly. "They're still great," one viewer tweeted, "but something feels restrained." In a quiet interview months later, Sam was asked if he ever found it hard to separate his roles from real life. He thought for a moment before replying, "Sometimes you give a part of yourself to a scene, and it doesn't come back." It was the closest he'd ever come to addressing it. Years later, when asked to name the most powerful scene he ever filmed, he smiled faintly and said, "One that no one ever saw." For those who knew, that was answer enough. The vanished scene became more than a piece of lost footage. It became a symbol of how thin the line can be between truth and performance, between love and storytelling. And though the clip was erased from every official archive, its echo still lives in the minds of those who saw it, and in the hearts of two actors who, for one fleeting moment, forgot the world was watching. Because sometimes, the most real moments aren't the ones we keep. They're the ones we have to let go.